I love it. Have you guys seen this yet? The female version of Rudeus. Rudico, I think a lot of people call him. Yeah, the moment I seen this, I'm like, yes, 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 I want this. I want this. Now, I don't know if there's story relevance to this or if it's just fan art. I know that a lot of series, people, especially popular ones, they love the gender swap. And like I said, I'm all for it. Gender swap Rudy. I love it. What's funny is I'm the kind of person that when I see things like this, my mind starts going crazy. Like the what ifs. I start getting really crazy into the what ifs of what if Mushoku Tensei had a female lead? What if Rudeus was Rudico or whatever? I would love it. I would eat it all up. I mean, I start playing it out in my head. What if, there's this girl, she unfortunately is bullied when she's in school, and then I'm like, oh crap, I don't know if I want that. Like, of course, my mindset goes immediately to this idea of a female being put through what Rudeus was put through, being chained up on the gates and stripped naked and people taking photos and laughing at her. I would be crushed. Like, that would be way, way too hard to see. And I would assume that a female of that age being put through something like that, I think she probably would have done far worse than what Rudeus ended up doing. I don't think that she would just leave it at locking herself up in her room. But because typically with males, we kind of deal with situations like that a little bit differently. We were able to kind of put that inside of ourselves and bottle it up and just hide away. And I think a female like that, it would be like crushing. This is the ending thing. I can't live on kind of thing, which is super unfortunate, but again, it plays in the idea of the genders playing differently. But yeah, and then having it jump forward, and she's now huddled up in a room, and all she does all day is just watch. I don't know, maybe she becomes like an ultimate fujoshi. I would assume Ruriko would become like a super fujoshi, and she would do nothing but watch and read and look at explicit stuff of just fujoshi stuff until eventually she gets kicked out, tries to save somebody, and just dies, and then wakes up in a fantasy world, and here's Ruriko, and she's now living a fantasy. She's been reborn, and she has this hot dad that's right above her, and she's like, oh my god, he's like super hot. And then it jumps to like finding out that she has this butler, and she's, like, holy crap, my butler's hot. I want to see my dad and the butler get together, and then she starts drooling over it. It would be fantastic. And then, yeah, jump later, she ends up having this whole job of training some rich boy, and then she starts, drooling over him because he's so hot and stuff. It would be great. It would be. I mean, she'd be basically like thirsty for this boy because he's so hot. And then, I realized at that point, my mind stopped, and I said, that changes things, doesn't it? That changes things a lot. And that's pretty much where I concluded it. And I realized at that point that how different would the fandom have reacted if this character was a female? How would the mainstream have treated this show if the main character was a female? How would the anime awards have turned out if the main character was a female? I think extremely different. The idea that we're kind of been pushing around quite a bit lately is, of course, that mix between the criticism of Mushoku Tensei versus the fandom and what they have to deal with because they like it. I was really crushed the moment I watched one of Gigat's videos, and he was talking about how because he chose Mushoku Tensei as his anime of the year, his comments were being swarmed with people saying, oh, you like Mushoku Tensei? Then obviously you like CP. You're supporting CP. And that's, I hate it. Now, I love his response to it. I think it was a solid response, this idea of just because you like something doesn't mean you agree with all the content within it. Of course, he's disturbed by Rudeus going after girls and how he sees women as. It's just like if you watch anything else and there's something bad in it, doesn't mean that you support that. Just because people are watching Attack on Titan right now and really love it does not mean they like racism, segregation, genocide, murder, and the terrible things that happen to little girls in that show too. It's in there. But I'm getting stuck in the weeds. Coming back to this whole situation with Ruriko, the interesting thing that comes in my mind is how would the fandom and the mainstream have handled it? And what's sad is that I know it would have been celebrated. People would have said, this is the anime of the year. This is a strong character. She went through real terrible things and she came back out of it strong. It would have been completely different because sadly, us as a society, we see genders differently. We see the struggles of genders differently. And to go back to what I said earlier about Rudeus being chained up versus Ruriko being chained up on that gate, what I specifically said there, And I said it for a reason. Don't get me wrong. I downplayed Rudeus, the male version, because what we see in society is that men are strong. And sure enough, he would have gone through it and he would have survived, whereas the girl would not, because the girl is more sensitive. I was giving society's perspective on genders right there to make a point that we downplay Rudeus' struggle because he's a guy. But men struggle as well. Men struggle with trauma. Men have mental scars that we deal with. We just don't openly show it because we're afraid of looking weak. Whereas the female would be able to do something like that. They'll be able to show somebody because society will accept it more because we put these two genders in a different microscope. That was kind of what I got into when I talked about the writer and how they replied to this whole comment about Rudeus and his behavior, in the idea of somebody, if you see somebody that's willing to change, accept them so they can change. But we don't accept Rudeus. Rudeus is a bad person. We're not allowed to let him have his redemption arc. He's a bad person, and so thus you shouldn't allow yourself to watch his story and watch him change. Whereas I think if it was a female, it'd be completely different. We would go, holy crap, look what this girl went through. Obviously, she locked herself up. I'm sad, but at the same time, I'm happy she didn't do something more. I'm happy that all she did was lock herself up. And now she has this new leaf on life, and she's pushing so hard to get back out there. And why does she keep talking about Fujoshi stuff? Why does she keep pairing her father to this other guy? Well, obviously it's because she likes that. It's fine. It's fine. She has a little bit of a quirk. That's fine. It's fine that she thinks that. She has a tutor and it's a hot shota and everybody's like, holy crap, this is so great. And she stole his boxers. That's hilarious. We would all love it. She opens up this box and pulls out these boxers and says, I miss it. They'd probably be like, oh, that's a little bit creepy, but that's go girl. Everybody would be fine with it. And she even protects the boy from all the bullies in the town. And then, oops, she accidentally pulls down her shorts and finds out it's a guy. And then suddenly, oh, that's shenanigans. Who cares? Getting hot and bothered about the rich boy being seasick on the ocean and having to go, handle business elsewhere. We would laugh because it's different. Thinking her father's hot. Who cares? It's just her father. He's got, not really her father, so it's fine, right? Who cares? Oh, the butler? Yeah, but the butler's hot. We're perfectly fine with it. And even to the point where she would go after the rich boy, the male version of Edis. Nobody would care. I don't think anybody would care. It's like the whole concept of the teacher getting with the student. When it's a male getting with the female, everybody freaks out. But the moment it's a female with the male, everybody rejoices. The guy got it. The girl, the hot teacher. Everybody's perfectly fine with it because we don't see genders the same. She found love. This girl, she was tortured here and she lived this horrible life in the previous life. And now she's reborn here, but now she's found love. She found love in this rich boy. Nobody would have second guessed it. I swear to you, we would have never even had this discussion because again, man bad, man having quirk bad, man making pervy comments bad, man changing, I don't care to find out. But the woman strong, woman struggling, woman finds happiness. We love it. And I think that's where I just get so agitated and sad at the state of the anime sphere right now, that we're starting to have this injection of this idea that because you like something, you like all of it. Because you enjoy this story that has something in it that is offensive, you thus support it. You need to stop it. Name any show, story, movie, book, manga, comic, and I will tell you something in it that's probably bad and that you support that because it's in there. Whatever happened to enjoying storytelling? Flaws and character mistakes are a thing. Humans make mistakes, and because you see those mistakes in a story, you realize they're human. The question is, do they change, and is that change significant in your eyes? Now, granted, Rudy could never change, and in the end, I would say, yeah, Rudy was always a terrible person. But the story, I read it, and I enjoyed it, so who cares? Again, I've stated it before, and I'll state it again. I don't care if you don't watch Mushoku Tensei. I don't care that you didn't enjoy it. That's perfectly fine. My whole point here is the criticisms and looking at the hypocrisies of how people view a character who has flaws, who's obviously perverted in the head, finding redemptions. And that's the story that I want to watch. And that's the story I want to enjoy. And I don't want to be criticized for enjoying that, or have my opinions on anything else that I talk about criticized because I like Mushoku Tensei and Mushoku Tensei has something questionable in it. That kind of gotcha stuff is found in politics and everywhere else. I don't want it in the anime sphere. Personally, I don't want this one escape that I've enjoyed my entire life that has been criticized by everybody else in the world to suddenly have the fandom itself eating itself. It's just like gatekeeping between anime fans. It's just like people calling out other people's likes and saying they're terrible taste, or you need to watch more shows if you think this is good. The heart of the anime fandom has unfortunately lost its core thing. We were a group of people that liked something that the world deemed as cartoons and should not be watched. And now we're just eating at each other. And not only that, we're letting the mainstream affect us. These websites and services that want to claim that they are the journalists or the control over what we should enjoy and not enjoy. And the moment we give that power to them, you might as well shut off everything. Because everything in anime, everything in storytelling, everything in books, comics, manga, movie, live action is going to have something offensive in it. And if we can't have characters that have flaws and still enjoy it, it's going to be extremely boring in the future. That said, I still love Vertigo. And I would totally love a total spin-off of, I don't know, the what if, the Rudeus being reincarnated into another world and, yeah, playing out her adventure, because I think it'd be fun. And yes, she would probably totally be a Fujoshi, and I would probably hate that, but I'd probably still love it because Rudeus is cute. With that said, that was my fun little thought experiment that turned into a rant, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This will probably maybe be my last video I'll talk about Mushoku Tensei. I know there's some people like just stop talking about it, but until I got my light novels coming in, so I will definitely be reading those. I am so looking forward to reading them. And I'll be giving my thoughts on each volume on a video, so look forward to that if you guys are fans and you want to hear some information about the light novel, my thoughts on it, maybe some things in there I found that were interesting that wasn't really in the anime. I will not be reading past the adaptation, so don't worry about that. I do want to watch it as Studio Bind adapts it, and I'm so looking forward to the next season. Hopefully they announce that soon. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below, comment, let me know what you thought about it. Do you think it would change everybody's perspectives? Do you think it would be like accepted and praised? Crunchyroll would be all over it. It would be the top bar of every single website. I think it would. I think, you know, strong woman, and I would love it. I would love that. I'm fine with that, honestly. As always, if you want more of my content and you haven't already, please subscribe. We just hit 5,000. I definitely appreciate everybody that support us to get to that 5,000 mark. Definitely looking forward to getting to 10,000 and onward. Also, you can support us on Patreon or through our tips link in the description below. I definitely appreciate everybody does. There's also a Discord link in there, so if you enjoy anime and want to talk about it, especially if you love Mushoku Tensei, make sure to jump in there and chat with me. And with that said, y'all take care.